Dear beautiful and radiant viewers, welcome to the 14th episode of Art and Dharma, where we will talk about the connections or interplay between art and Dharma. My name is Victor Gabriel and I am a lecturer at Sakya Buddha University in Santa Ana, California. You can reach me through my email awake.star.sky@gmail.com. In episode 14, I would like to discuss Lama or Master Tsongkhapa, who lived from 1357 to 1419. Their iconography, their role in Buddhist cosmology, their devotional practices and significance. Lama Tsongkhapa is the founding master of the Gelug tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. This is the tradition to which the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, belongs. We will explore this image of Lama Tsongkhapa with his two main students, Gyaltsab Dharma Rinchen, who lived from 1364 to 1432, on the master's left and shown older, and Kedrop J. Gelek Palzang, who lived from 1385 to 1438 on the master's right. Behind these statues of these three masters are their stupas, where their bodies were entombed. If you want to know more about stupas, please watch episode 6. This episode, as well as the past 3 episodes, have been about Buddhist masters and the qualities of Buddhist masters. Please watch episode 12, 13, 12, 13, 11, 12, 13 if you are interested. We begin with a praise of Lama Tsongkhapa. You who are Avalokiteshvara, the treasury of non-referential compassion, you who are Manjushri, the supreme stainless wisdom, you who are Vajrapani, the destroyer of hosts of Maras, O Losang Drakpa, I request you please grant your blessings. Lama Tsongkhapa, meaning the master from Tsongkha or the master from Onion Valley. He is also known by his ordained name Losang Drakpa. Losang Drakpa or Lama Tsongkhapa was born in Onion Valley, Amdo in the eastern Tibet to a Mongolian mother and a Tibetan father. His birth was marked by special signs, and his mother later built a stupa on the spot where a drop of blood from his umbilical cord fell on the ground. Today, the location of Lama Tsongkhapa's birth is marked by Kumbum Monastery, founded in 1583 by the third Dalai Lama, Sonam Gyaltso, on the spot of that original stupa. At the age of 3, Tsongkhapa took lay Upasaka vows from the 4th Karmapa Ropel Doje. Then at the age of 8, he received the novice ordination with the name Losang Drakpa from the Kadampa master Choje Drup Rinchen. Dondrop Rinchen, a great practitioner of the Rafu form of Manjushri, had been in contact with Tsongkhapa and his family since the boy's birth, and is said to have received prophecies of the child's importance from his own teacher and deity. Tsongkhapa spent much of his youth studying with Dondrop Rinchen. He is said to have been so sharp that he easily understood and memorized even the most complicated texts. From Dondrop Rinchen, he received numerous empowerments. On the advice of Dondrop Rinchen, Lama Tsongkhapa at 16 left Amdo for the central province of Usang. In Usang, he studied with more than 50 different Buddhist scholars from diverse lineages. Lama Tsongkhapa's emphasis on philosophical study and logic that would eventually become some of the defining characteristics of the Gelug tradition. One of Lama Tsongkhapa's main teachers was the Sakya master Rendawa Zonu Lodro, who was a strong proponent of the Prasangika view of Madhyamika. Lama Tsongkhapa's devotion to Rendawa was so great that he composed the famous Mikse verse in praise of him. This is the prayer that we recited in the beginning of this episode. According to tradition, Rendawa felt that the verse was more applicable and descriptive of Tsongkhapa's qualities and thus offered the prayer back to him. This verse is still considered by the Gelug devotees as the principal method to invoke the blessings of Tsongkhapa. This was the prayer that we used in the beginning of this episode. Through his studies, Lama Tsongkhapa's understanding of Madhyamika philosophy became more concrete and experiential. By his early 20s, he had begun composing his most important early work, The Golden Garland, which is a commentary on the Prajna Paramita. His collected work would eventually become 18 volumes of text. Although Tsongkhapa is credited with being the author of his writings, it is believed that many were composed through the instruction and inspiration of deities that he saw in visions, particularly Manjushri. Lama Tsongkhapa is said to have initially relied on his teachers to communicate with various deities on his behalf. His Nyingma teacher Namkha Gyaltsen, for example, was believed to be able to communicate with Vajrapani and to have acted as an intermediary between the deity and Tsongkhapa. Later in his life, Tsongkhapa was interested in traveling to India but was dissuaded to do so by Vajrapani. In the same way, Tsongkhapa initially relied on his teacher U Mapa Pawo Dorje to act as an intermediary with Manjushri. Tsongkhapa had met this Kagyu Lama when he was 33. Tsongkhapa undertook a retreat together during this period, and Tsongkhapa is said to have posed numerous questions to Manjushri through Pawo Dorje. Eventually, however, Tsongkhapa himself began to experience visions and was able to communicate with Manjushri directly, receiving instructions and empowerments, and most importantly, those related to Manjushri and Vajravairava. Over the course of his life, Tsongkhapa continued to receive visions of masters and bodhisattvas. Apart from a short period of teaching, Tsongkhapa continued to engage in intensive retreats. He and a community of 8 disciples began a long retreat at Chadrel Hermitage in 1392, then moving to Okla Cholung several years later. During this retreat, they famously completed very extensive preliminary practices, which is now common in the Gelug tradition. Lama Tsongkhapa is known for his 4 great deeds. Following the retreat, Tsongkhapa traveled to Zinji, where he performed his first deed, the restoration of a famous statue of Maitrepa. During this period in 1398, Tsongkhapa is believed to have attained realization and a perfect understanding of Madhyamika due to the vision of an assembly of the great Indian Prasangika masters. Immediately following this experience, he composed the Praise to Dependent Origination. This experience began a new epoch in Tsongkhapa's life, one which shifted more towards composing and teaching. In 1402, while at Rating Monastery, he composed the Lamrim Chemo, now known as in English as the Great Treatise on the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment, his most famous work. Also in 1402, Tsongkhapa performed his second great deed. While staying at Namsedang during the rainy season, he gave a detailed commentary on the Vinaya to a large assembly of monks, thus making monasticism the hallmark of the Gelug tradition. Tsongkhapa's third great deed was the establishment of the Great Prayer Festival. In 1409, he celebrated the Great Prayer Festival in Lhasa, which is celebrated around the time of the Tibetan New Year, Losar. This celebration is traditionally centered around the Jokang or the main temple in Lhasa. At this time, he offered jewel ornaments and a crown to the statue of Jo Sakya Muni, the most sacred statue in Jokang and the whole of Tibet. By offering these ornaments, the statue was transformed from being a Nirmakaya representation of the Buddha Sakya Muni to one representing his Sambhogaya manifestation. At his students' request, Tsongkhapa established a monastery, his final great deed, which was consecrated in 1410. The monastery was given the name of Gandan, the Tibetan translation of Tushita, the pure land of the future Buddha Maitreya. The monastery would eventually become the largest monastery in Tibet and is considered the principal monastery of the Gelug tradition. Lama Tsongkhapa is counted as the first throne holder or Gandan Tripa, a title held by successive abbots of this monastery. Lama Tsongkhapa died in 1419 at Gandan Monastery, the year after he completed his composition of the Elucidation of Thought in 1418. He was 62 years old and is believed to have attained enlightenment through yogic practices during the death process. His body was entombed inside a jewel stupa at Gandan as shown in this picture. Lama Tsongkhapa's death is commemorated by the annual festival of Gandan Nacho, which translates as the Gandan offering of the 25th, during which devotees light butter lamps on their roofs and window sills. Lama Tsongkhapa designated Kelsab J. Dhammarinchen as his successor, who in turn appointed Kedrup Gelek Pelsen as the next throne holder of Gandan. Tsongkhapa had many illustrious students. Today, Kelsab J and Kedrup J are considered to have been Tsongkhapa's foremost students, although whether this is actually true has been contested by modern scholarship. Gyaltsab Dhamma Rinchen was born in 1362 or 1364 in Ringnang Sang. He became one of Tsongkhapa's main disciples and is generally depicted sitting to the left of the master. He is sometimes shown with white hair. Dhamma Rinchen was instrumental in the establishment of Gandan Monastery in 1409. He assisted in ordaining monks and establishing their ritual calendar. Following Tsongkhapa's death in 1492, at the age of 54 or 56, Dhamma Rinchen ascended to the golden throne of Gandan, becoming the second abbot, the official head of the Gelug tradition. It was at this time that he acquired the title Gyaltsab, the regent of Lama Tsongkhapa. He held the abbacy for 11 years, occupying his time in exposition, debate, and composition. In 1431, the year before he passed away, he passed the abbot's throne to Tsongkhapa's other disciples, Kedrup Gelek Pelsen, who thus became the third abbot of Gandan. Kedrup Gelek Pelsen was born in Sang in 1385. His father was a Khotanese descendant while his mother was Tibetan. At the age of 47, in 1431, he was asked by Gyaltsab to take the throne of Ganden Monastery, becoming the third man to occupy the seat after Tsongkhapa. He was posthumously given the title of the first Panchen Lama by the virtue of being a previous incarnation of the fourth Panchen Lama, Lobsang Choki Gyaltsen, who lived from 1570 to 1662. The life story of Lama Tsongkhapa illustrates the importance of study and practice. In Buddhism, study and practice are both essential components for achieving spiritual growth and enlightenment. Here's a breakdown of their significance. Study. Understanding the teachings. Studying involves learning about the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma. This includes understanding the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Noble Path, and other key concepts. A deep grasp of these teachings helps practitioners comprehend the nature of suffering, its causes, and how to overcome it. Guidance and insight. By studying the scriptures and teachings, practitioners gain insights into the nature of reality and develop wisdom. This intellectual understanding provides a foundation for correct practice and helps prevent misunderstandings or misconceptions. Mental preparation. Study sharpens the mind and prepares it for meditation. It helps cultivate the right attitude and intentions, which are crucial for effective practice. Meditative practice. Direct experience. Practice, particularly meditation, is where theoretical knowledge is applied and experienced directly. Meditation techniques like mindfulness and concentration allow practitioners to observe their thoughts and emotions, leading to deeper insights and personal transformation. Cultivating virtues. Regular practice helps develop key virtues such as concentration, ethical behavior, and compassion. Through meditation and mindfulness, practitioners work on overcoming negative mental states and cultivating positive ones. Realizing insight. While study provides theoretical framework, practice allows for experiential realization of insight. It is through practice that one directly experiences the impermanence of all things, the nature of self, and the cessation of suffering. Today we have talked about Lama or Master Tsongkhapa, their iconography, their role in Buddhist cosmology, their devotional practices and significance. If you have liked this episode, please write to me at awake.star.sky@gmail.com. Tell me what you liked, what you enjoyed, and what you would like to see more of. You can also submit artwork that you want me to comment about. Thank you.